Today I will explain how to flush the cooling system using the example of a Peugeot 308 with an HDI engine of 120 HP. How to do it, how long to wait, what chemicals to add, and most importantly, what results you will get and whether it's worth it at all. First, a brief introduction. If you decide to flush the cooling system in your engine, you have several options. Do it yourself or take it to a service center. And the second option, clean with some factory chemicals from certain manufacturers like adding something to the antifreeze, driving around and then draining it. Or go the classic route, citric acid plus baking soda. And here I must immediately clarify that with citric acid plus baking soda, no auto service will do this for you, as it is extremely time consuming. Well, if they do agree for some unknown reason, they will likely charge a lot of money, so you won't want to do it yourself. As you understood, I decided to clean the cooling system with citric acid. Why did I come to this decision? It's actually quite simple. I watched a lot of videos and read many articles, a whole lot, and I concluded what is good and safe. The cooling system can only be cleaned with citric acid. All factory solutions have an effect, but it's not complete, not full-fledged, not finished. That's it. If anything, I just gave you about a 5-hour summary in 15 seconds. But of course, this is just my personal opinion, and you may disagree with it. So, if you decide to flush the cooling system with citric acid and baking soda, you will need a lot of distilled water, specifically for an HDI engine with 120 horsepower. Personally, I bought 8 5-liter bottles. But in fact, I used about 27 liters of distilled Abin water. I just took extra, you never know what might happen. You might spill it, turn it over and so on. It's inexpensive, and if you find yourself short by, say, a liter during the process, it would be unpleasant, so it's better to take a little extra. As for the citric acid, I needed 360 grams and 170 grams of baking soda. At first, I thought about saving a bit and buying citric acid at the Svedafors store, but the citric acid there, for some reason, has a lemon scent and some additives. In the end, I got frustrated and bought 5 liters of acid right away. In such a volume, it turns out to be very cost-effective, and it will be useful around the house. And to avoid struggling with scales in the garage and guessing how much to add where, I weighed everything at home on the scales and packed it into bags. And most importantly, the main resource, time. The process took me 16 hours. Now on the screen, there will be a table with calculations, let's say, for any car, not just for the engine. For those who need it, pause and take a look. Let's move on. The process itself. Drive the car onto a pit or a lift. If the engine is warm, wait about 1 hour and drain the antifreeze. I will not go into detail about the draining process. There was recently a video on replacing antifreeze in an HDI engine. Everything is very detailed and thorough there. All links are in the description. So the antifreeze has been drained, installed the hose and the drain plug back in place, and thoroughly check that everything clicked into place properly. I draw special attention to this. If you make a slight mistake here, and the hose with antifreeze comes off while the engine is running, you might end up going to the store for a new engine, and we don't want that. For those interested, the drained antifreeze looks like this, not very pretty and somewhat dirty. But to be fair, in the tank it was quite clear, and even now it's not exactly cloudy, but far from ideal. Taking this opportunity, I have a small announcement. I have a feature called sponsorship now available on my channel. If you're watching this channel because of the videos dedicated to the Peugeot 308, if you like what I'm doing, you like it. And besides likes and kind words in the comments, you're ready to support the channel and its growth. I would be grateful. Of course, it's not just for nothing and not for pretty eyes. Sponsors get nice bonuses. All the details are in the video and the link to it is in the description. Now we need to pour in the soda solution. I heated about 1.5 liters of water and added soda to it, then mixed it thoroughly in cold water. Mixing it will be somewhat difficult. Some people even add it directly into the tank, saying that it will mix itself during operation. But personally, something tells me that it's better when the liquid starts working right from the moment you pour it in, rather than later, after 10 or 15, 20 minutes. But it's up to you to decide. So, we mix these 1.5 liters of soda solution with 3 more and start pouring it all into the engine. As practice has shown, you need to pour it about 2 centimeters above the maximum mark, because when the large circuit opens and all the air, or almost all of it, is released, the level will drop. Start the car, close the hood to minimize heat loss and make the engine as hot as possible. In the cabin, switch the heater to manual mode, set the temperature to maximum and the fan to 1 notch. This is a somewhat debatable point. The thing is, the thermostat is very tricky, and personally, I haven't quite figured out exactly how it works, and I had a suspicion that if you don't set the temperature to maximum, antifreeze might flow through the heater. Well, with some weaker flow, and we need to flush the heater as well. That's why I said it this way. If you set the fan to maximum, a lot of heat will be taken from the heater radiator, and we don't need that. On the contrary, we need all the heat to stay in the engine. Now we wait until the car warms up to about 82-83 degrees and the thermostat opens. Most likely the fan under the hood will start working, but that's not certain. To understand when this moment will occur, it's best to connect an ELAM and check through the program. I use Fab. If anything, I'll leave a link to it in the description. It works quite quickly and more or less correctly. So, just like that. Once the temperature reaches 82 degrees, start timing 30 minutes. That's exactly how long your engine will idle and essentially be flushed. Now briefly, why do we first pour in the soda solution? To remove greasy deposits from the cooling system, after which the citric acid will work much more easily and effectively. That's basically all we need the soda for at this stage. One more thing. Even though I drained the antifreeze from the two lower points, the old antifreeze still remained in the system because the water quickly turned pink, meaning it mixed with the old antifreeze. There's nothing to worry about. This is just for your information. Initially, a little foam appeared on top of the liquid, but during the heating process, the foam almost disappeared.
Don't be alarmed by this.
Next, we complete the first stage, which is the soda solution. 30 minutes have passed. We turn off the engine, open the hood, and wait about 1 hour for the engine to cool down. Here, I decided to use some ingenuity and a scientific approach. If you use a regular household fan, you can significantly reduce the engine cooling time, just so you understand how much. First I timed 1 hour and looked through the thermal imager. Then I did the same thing, but with the fan. And I managed to reduce the cooling time under the same conditions to about 40 minutes. It seems like a small thing, but in total, you can save more than an hour and a half. And if you place the fan under the engine, I think you could save even a bit more. But that's just a life hack. Once the engine has cooled, we drain the soda solution. We get something like this sludge. It looks a bit better than it was, but still far from ideal. But if you look into the expansion tank, things are much scarier there. Naturally, nothing like this had ever happened before. It's all soda at the bottom of the basin, along with a lot of some kind of sand. So, these are the remnants after the soda. That is some kind of, I don't even know, sandus. Where did the sand come from? I really don't understand. It really looks a lot like sand. Where from? Why? It's completely unclear. This is after the first time with soda, it's clearly sand. Very strange because, well, okay. Plus it barely trickles down the walls, I understand, and it would have taken longer if I had let it stand. And here, all of your adak is gone in short. Well, there's plenty of debris. Next, basically, it's all the same. We pour in the citric acid solution, heat the engine, wait until it reaches 80 degrees, and let it idle for 30 minutes. After that, we turn it off and let it cool for about an hour. With the fan, it's noticeably faster. Somehow I didn't think of it right away. It turns out, the process is actually not quick at all. Gradually, it drags on. And, as they say, evening is approaching. All right. Regarding what, where, how, and why to do it, what's more convenient as practice has shown? We take some kind of container with water. Ideally the same container where the distilled water is
A canister.
why, for what purpose, and what do we do with it? So we pour citric acid into it, or alternatively baking soda, and we pour hot water into it. I use this wonderful portable stove. I have a video review on it. For those interested, take a look. It's useful around the house, and in general, it's an extremely convenient thing. It boils water in just a second. I think there's no need to explain why hot water or boiling water is needed. So in this liquid now, there's citric acid with absolutely no sediment. It's crystal clear, because it dissolves instantly when hot. Just a note, don't even think about adding citric acid to the jar where you mix the baking soda. Seriously, don't even think about it. It would be a complete mess. Neutralizing each other would be pointless. That's it. Then, into this boiling water, we add a little bit of regular distilled water to make, for example, 5 liters or... And that's it. So you have a ready mixed solution. Perfect. Just look at how it looks. That's all. Really, not a hint of sediment. But the temperature is such that it's uncomfortable for me to hold with my palm.
Right now.
It's really hot. I think it's probably around 70 degrees. Well, that's basically it. And regarding this moment, well, we wait. We wait. So, this is with me. After the first grenade, I'll say right away, well, it's not visible here. It's a bit dark, but in short, there's dirt. There is dirt. It's far from perfectly clean. Not at all. And the second point, I didn't capture it on video, but take my word for it. Once you've turned off the engine, first of all, don't open the expansion tank cap right away. Wait for about 10, 20, 30 minutes. Well, it's not about who, but about that. Why? Because a significant amount of pressure builds up under it. For some reason, because it's a grenade, it foams up, and when you've already opened the cap, whether you close it or not, it doesn't matter. The pressure starts to increase slightly with the foam, to the point where it might even overflow. There's a reaction happening there, so there's a small amount of foam present. As for the rest, well, I don't know, you see, or maybe you can't see, I haven't drained anything yet, so look, it washes out, it cleans. So there is dirt. The main thing is to wash out all this dirt so it doesn't clog and make things worse. Well, let's see. And here is the result of the second drain, specifically with citric acid. And here is the third drain, and this is the fourth drain. To avoid repetition, with each subsequent drain, it becomes noticeably cleaner than it was. It's already nice that the bottom is visible. So, there is a point to these procedures, and I'm not just clogging all the radiators with dirt. Let me briefly explain the whole process again. We drain the antifreeze, pour in a soda solution, drain the soda solution, pour in a citric acid solution, pour in the citric acid 3-4 times. 3 times was enough for me. Here, you should look at the condition of the water at the exit. How cloudy it is. If the water is still cloudy, you can use citric acid up to 8 times. It won't make things worse. The only question is how much time you are willing to spend on this. And at the end, we rinse everything again with a soda solution. This is necessary to neutralize the effect of the citric acid. And then we pour in the antifreeze. That's it. Congratulations. The system is flushed. I repeat, it took me 16 hours, and the main reason it took so long is that removing and attaching hoses, drain plugs, and reaching all these parts is difficult, time-consuming, and inconvenient. Hence the time, a monumental task has been accomplished. But the main question is, was it worth it? What has changed? And my answer is yes, it was worth it. The heating has become a bit better, and overall, the climate control system works faster, meaning it reaches its operating mode noticeably quicker. And let's not forget how much debris was flushed out of the system overall. Of course, skeptics might say that the temperature change is just a placebo effect and nothing more. Well, for such people, there is a thermal imager. I prudently recorded footage before and after the flushing process, and here's what came out of it. Before the flushing, in manual mode at maximum temperature, the heater was blowing 50 degrees from the central air vent and 45 degrees from the side vents. At the feet, it was 33 degrees. After flushing the system, the central air vent started blowing at 52 degrees, which is 2 degrees more. The side vent started blowing at 47 degrees, which is also 2 degrees more. At the feet, it started blowing at 44 degrees, which is 11 degrees more than before. The result is very noticeable, but wait, there's something else important. When the heater gets clogged, it usually heats less effectively, particularly on the passenger side. In other words, on the left it blows hot, while on the right for the passenger, it blows warm. Before flushing the cooling system, the difference in similar air vents, left and right, was on average 3, 4, sometimes 5 degrees. That is, the process of clogging and contamination is evident, and after flushing the system, the difference was 0 degrees, or 1 degree. And the worst case is 4 degrees. This is at the driver's and passenger's feet. Just to remind you, it became 11 degrees hotter, specifically at the feet, so there is definitely a result, and it's impossible to dispute it. The question remains, are you ready to spend 16 hours or so to flush the system, to extend its life? Well, and all of this, you decide for yourself here, but you saw the result. And a brief Q&A, is it worth it or not? In my opinion, it is. What was the most difficult part? The process is a bit tedious and slightly routine, so find something to occupy yourself with in between. And better yet, if possible, spread it over 2 days in 2 stages. It will be easier that way. Also, I would recommend rinsing with acid, not 3 times, but probably 4. It will be even cleaner that way. But this is all individual. And in conclusion, a bit more visual information so you can understand how dirty your cooling system is. I remind you, the mileage is a little over 200,000 if we trust it. The antifreeze is clear, with no films, dirt, or anything like that floating around. The heater and climate control work properly, or at least that's what I thought. So, specifically before the procedure, I drained the liquid from the reservoir, as I suspected that there might be some solid particles in the system that don't rise high and therefore are in the reservoir. It's clean, but in reality, things are much worse, though in fact, in the tank is the same as in the system. My assumption was not confirmed. Next, after the soda solution, dirt is already visible and there's a lot of it. An oily film is also visible, as the soda was supposed to clean precisely the greasy deposits. This is the essence of using soda at this stage. Just so you know, all the bottles, clean, that's exactly the dirt. In the tank, it's clean. After the first acid, the liquid looks like this. There's practically no film, but there is dirt and there's a lot of it. Next, the second acid, the liquid is significantly clearer and there's significantly less dirt, but it's still there. The third acid wash, the liquid is even clearer and there's even less dirt. And the final wash with soda, the liquid is close to crystal clear. There's still dirt, but it's minimal. That's why I said that ideally you should wash with acid not 3 but 4 or even 5 times. But then your washing process will last about 20 or 24 hours. To be honest, I wasn't ready for that. But if you are more patient than I am, then the result will be even better. Just so you know, these papers are regular pH. Test. Red is acidic, green is neutral, blue is alkaline. And in conclusion, I am very satisfied with the result. There is definitely a result. I will monitor what happens with the liquid, what happens with its pH environment, whether it changes, how quickly it happens, and so on. If you're interested, subscribe and follow, as they say, the channel. That's all from me for today. Thank you all for watching and goodbye.